Hello and welcome to the top 10 most popular commanders for August. Today we are starting with, again, the most popular one. In number 1, first time in, is the Hearthfull, the Worldseed. And as always, we are going to start with the most popular one because that is the one you are most interested in. Secondly, we will be doing different themes and things for cards that come in here multiple times. But as this is the first time this card is here, I will just talk about why it is popular. First of all, we see many cards that are in precons. When they get out, they get really popular for a very short amount of time because people want to try it out, I think. So this one is the most popular one. Of course, there was another precon and there are multiple commanders to choose from, but this one was the most popular, I think, because of multiple other reasons. First of all, the precon itself is more successful because I think the sacrificing of lands has always been a popular thing, and people are looking out for decks that have a little bit more amounts of colors and that are still good. So usually in land sacrifice it is just Golgari, but adding the red for Junt makes it that much stronger because you have so many more cards to play, especially because red can be something that easily sacrifices too. Now, aside from that, I think there is the novelty of a spacecraft as your commander. It's just new and people wonder if it's strong because you need a little bit more work. Of course, some people also might skip the part where you have to station this thing for 2 or 8 station counters, charge counters, but the things are strong. So it is when you crew it for 2+, you gain the ability to pay 1 mana, tap this commander of yours, then sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards, and you may play an additional land this turn. Does mean that you can easily get that land back, of course. And then for 8+ charge counters, you get to turn the Hearthfull into a creature, a flying vigilance haste 6/7. So if you can do that quickly, then well, you are off to the races. And whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. So you definitely got yourself an engine there that can win you the game. I like that part definitely. Then next up is something from not a precon, so this one must be very good. It is, and it is in Boros. So already 2 things that make this more popular. 1, it is really good. 2, it is in Boros. So usually in Boros we do not really see that many good commanders. Let me read it. Ragost, Deft, Gastronoaut is a small commander mana-wise, which already makes it a bit stronger because it's easy to play multiple times as well. 2 mana for a 2/2, and then artifacts you control are food in addition to their other types. So you can also pay 2 mana, tap it, and sacrifice the artifact to gain 3 life. But mostly what you care about is making all of your artifacts into foods. Then for 1 mana you can tap Ragost himself to sacrifice a food, and Ragost deals 3 damage to each opponent. So basically sacrifice any artifact and Ragost deals 3 damage to each opponent, which is strong. And then at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, you get to untap Ragost, so you can block with him again if you want, but also you could use that ability once more. What is strong here is that Ragost is in many combinations with Nuka-Cola and other cards. Nuka-Cola, the vending machine, has this ability, the second ability, that says whenever you sacrifice a food, create a tapped treasure token. So whenever you sacrifice any artifact, you create an artifact, which then will also be a food, which you can then sacrifice to again make another food. So as long as you have a way to turn an artifact and sacrificing it into something strong, like mana, you have yourself an infinite. So yeah, very strong and definitely combo potential. Then we have for the first time again something, or a commander that returns. This time for the 4th time we have Ishla, but has been lowering a bit, which is good to see, I would say, because Final Fantasy has been popular for a bit too long maybe, and the new set really needed to get in there. But what we do for the 4th time every time is create a character sheet So I have the sheet, but I will summarize Ishtula's character sheet for you, which is easier. So Ishtula is a cat mage, which you also see on the type line, but is loreful as well, because she is sort of a cat person. She belongs to a guild called the Science of the Seventh Dawn and often protects her allies. She is known for her calm demeanor, sharp mind and incredible magic skill, and she combines healing magic, so white mage, and offensive control magic. So how does this translate to Dungeons & Dragons? For one, she gets the Divine Soul Sorcerer. Her magic is tied to a higher order of magic, so she can heal and deal damage with equal skill. She has healing spells, of course, and control magic, because Ishtula is a strategist and manipulates the battlefield to protect allies and neutralize threats. She has greater invisibility and feline agility, because she is a cat-like person, making her naturally stealthy and nimble. And she has meta magic. Quickened and Twin Spell mirror her ability to multitask in combat, casting and moving fluidly. And she will have high charisma, because she does command respect and inspires confidence in her party. So if you want to know more about this level 10 sorcerer character I've created, ask away and I will send you it. Then we have Kilo the Apogee Mind, which is from a precon again. So this is the other precon, which is definitely less popular. Here the crewable artifact, the spacecraft, isn't the most popular. It is Kilo, so actually the legendary creature. What makes this popular? One thing is the proliferation in red. Of course, the most popular proliferation has been the most popular commander for a long time, but didn't really, well, didn't have red. I had to think about it a little bit there. It has 4 colors, but it is red, everything except red. So Kilo is also great as an artifact commander, which is also another thing that might make Kilo more popular. But I think the proliferation has been done so many times, and it is 1 color less than the most popular proliferate commander, so it is a little bit less strong in that way. Does have some combo potential with being tapped, and of course there are many ways to tap something very easily, so that you can then proliferate Kilo and go off with the proliferation. But I think that might be less fun to people who really love proliferation, which should be a sort of slow process of strengthening and comboing off very slowly for value. Then we have Vivi, also returning in Commander very much, so definitely has been a menace to Standard, but in Commander very strong still. 4th time this is here. I think now I know that this is mostly popular because of the strength right now. But has been lowered 3 places. I think this is being lowered quicker because people in Commander are often more casual and really don't like seeing something that they have been seeing a lot of in Arena or their standard manners of play. But we will make a character in D&D for Vivi, and the lore is of course still fun. So Vivi is a young black mage from Final Fantasy. He is shy, curious, and struggles with the knowledge that he was artificially created. So that is a very interesting character to play with in a campaign. And Vivi may have a short lifespan. He is small, frail, and quiet, but commands immense destructive magic. So definitely a glass cannon. And fire-based spells like Fire, Fireball, Scorching Ray will be his hallmark, even though he has some other strengths in other elemental magic, because he is so curious. So you will be playing with Fireball, but also like Ice Storm and elemental stuff like that. He will be able to sculpt spells. He is careful to never harm friends, so this ability will reflect his innocence and compassion for his friends. He will need something like Misty Step or Fly that shows his vulnerability. He can't really rely on brute strength, so he will need the mobility to survive. He will be a magic initiate, so Eldritch Blast will be very strong. It captures his curiosity. He experiments with other magical energies and not just fire. He has low strength but high intelligence, of course, and arcane recovery, which represents his growth and resilience. Even when exhausted, he can muster the power to keep going again for his friends. Then, why is Inspirit popular? Another sort of combo-like commander, I would say, and was also in the precon, is also a spacecraft, which the novelty will grab some players already, and pairs really well with things that need charge, which is a niche thing. So Inspirit says when you crew it for 1, so not needed a bunch, it has the ability to, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put your choice of a +1 counter or 2 charge counters on 1 target artifact. So let's look at Magistrate's Scepter, which is a 3-mana artifact that can tap to remove 3 charge counters, and you will get to take an extra turn after this one. So every turn you will already get 2 charge counters, so you are almost at that magical 3 point. So you will just need one other proliferation that you can easily do every turn, like with Kilo, and then you will have an infinite amount of turns as long as you can keep tapping Kilo or doing the other thing that you need to proliferate or put another charge counter on the Magistrate's Scepter. Definitely pushing this card to the limit. Then our last character in D&D, also returning for the 4th time and lowering a bunch, is Sephiroth, the Fabled Soldier. And Sephiroth is a sort of sacrifice commander in Magic, but is the main antagonist in Final Fantasy VII, which is the most popular game. Also the only one I have played. Once was a celebrated soldier warrior, he discovers he is part of an alien experiment, and this knowledge drives him insane in lore, believing he is destined to become a god and merge with the planet. His long sword, the Masamune, is iconic for its length and precision, and the one-winged angel will symbolize his transformation into a semi-divine avatar nightmare angel. So he's not really an angel, basically. But how this translates to D&D is that his Masamune will be able to attack for a very long reach, I would say. His sword is legendary and unnaturally long, so this will make him a melee threat from a distance. He will also, I think, be more of an enemy type, usually, so I think it will be fun to have him start off with the sort of huge meteor AoE representing his black materia. So this definitely shows us how he is strong. Should not destroy the planet in your game, but maybe can be mirrored as a devastating AoE spell, so that the team is shattered and needs to work with all the damage that has been done to them. Sin Harvest, which means drop HP to 1, will represent his godlike power to crush mortals. In game, it is a terrifying one-shot mechanic, but of course you can't really one-shot someone because that is not fun, but dropping them to 1 HP definitely makes for a very scary moment. He also should get Flight Hover when he transforms into the one-winged angel, so what you could also do is make it a sort of 2-step fight, or maybe have Sephiroth return later. So when he becomes the one-winged angel, he will need to get the ability to fly, because of course he has a wing. And will get many resistances, legendary resistances, reinforcing his near divine resilience, making him hard to defeat with conventional magic. Now onto something that is also very scary and shouldn't be trifled with. We will look at the art of the card of Kefka, because it has been returning for 3 times now. This one will drop out of the top 10 next month, but we will see. So Kefka is another great villain with a very scary laugh. I've seen that at least. So Kefka's art, I would say, is very poppy in this one, but we have some very different ones. Kefka, of course, wants to seem poppy, and it definitely does in the front art, because here by Rorubai, not sure, sorry. We get to see the many colors of the scarves and the robes that are running around Kefka, but we also see the sort of crueling makeup and the Joker-like laugh that still sticks around definitely in the transformation for Ruler of Ruin, 2 wings this time, so might be even stronger than Sephiroth. 4 actually, so an angel and a demon. Definitely shows that. And the interesting part is that Kefka isn't an angel or demon in his type here. Kefka is an avatar wizard. So we really get to see how he is strong in that way, and mostly he is showing that he has great control over his magic with the sort of like runes on his body as well. Then we get the same character but a very different vibe in the more, I would say, seemingly basic art on the front art than when compared to Shui Ton's other art, which is more detailed. So with the front art of Kefka, we get someone who seems like they are scheming but doesn't really want to be in the forefront. So we definitely see less of that popping, but the color is still there. So we definitely see that Kefka can't reel it in. Kefka does need to be at least somewhat the point of attention in the story. And we do also see that there's a sort of crack in his demeanor, but when he is transformed, he definitely is cracked all the way. And we see the craziness in his smile and eyes, and looking down at us is someone who definitely might destroy us if it seems fun, but doesn't need to. That is what I feel from that art. Still the poppy colors, which I think I love from all of them. And that is also here for the last one, which is more of this traditional art by Yoshitaka Amano, where we see Kefka being even more crazy from the front art. But here we see it seemingly in a sort of light-hearted manner, but still the eye in the hand and the crazy lines and the colors that really seem to block each other really show us already that Kefka is a sort of strange being. And when he is transformed, in this case, he seems even simpler actually in this version. But mostly we see that the lightheartedness is gone. Even though it was a crazy lightheartedness, it is now gone and it is just pure evilness. And I think this really shows what Kefka is about in its transformation in the game. Then we have from our new set the Edge of Eternity's Tannuk, and this is here for the first time at the 9th place. Might be rising a bit, but well, we'll see. Tannuk is a great aggro commander, which I love because aggro is definitely something that should be there for commander a little bit more, just to keep the control decks honest. Tannuk is a 4 mana commander that lets you play artifact and red cards for 3 mana. Any card you want to play will be able to be played for 3 mana, but it has warp, so usually this would mean that you play a creature, it can't attack because it doesn't have haste, and then you need to exile it so that you can play it later again for its full cost. In this case, the artifacts and creatures also get haste, so you can use them immediately to attack, for example. So for example, Myojin of the Roaring Blades, which is usually 8 mana, can now be played for 3 mana. You can then remove the indestructible counter from the creature, meaning you get to deal 7 damage to each of up to 3 targets, which is insane for 3 mana. And then you get to attack with it as well. Maybe you attack with it first, because then it has indestructible still. But that is definitely a strong ability. Then later on you can still play it if you have the mana, but you don't need to have it. You can top out at 4 mana with this deck and still play really big, strong creatures that are strong on the first time they are played. And then looking at a last piece of art, dropping 6 places is Cloud here for the 3rd time. Definitely on the brink of losing the top 10. Status. So Cloud ex-soldier is a Naya commander working with equipment. The weird thing here is adding green to equipment, but it is done because the second ability says that if Cloud has power 7 or greater while it is attacking, you create 2 treasure tokens. So what is happening here is Cloud is sort of leveling up, and at the point that Cloud's weapons or his own strength is strong enough, you get an extra upside of creating 2 treasure tokens. Otherwise you just draw a card for each equipped attacking creature, showing that Cloud really secretly cares about his friends as long as they are strong or are equipped with some strong weapons. So he wants to be around his strong allies. That is one thing that we learn about Cloud here from just the card. But we also see it in the art, I think, by Makimura, where, of course, the classic giant blade is here. We do not see the little runes in the blade in this case. I think maybe this is signifying that this is the start of Cloud's journey, and that is also what is happening on the card. So I think that is a really fun aspect of this card, showing how the sword looks. It is also kind of crazy that he is wearing the sword not on his shoulder padded arm, but just on his bare skin, which I think makes it extra crazy. But yeah, I think that's Cloud as well. Just a soldier that shouldn't have any feelings, but eventually will. Speaking about feelings, that is, I think, the classic art from Cloud as well, which we will end with on this note, where we just see him ready to slash us out of this video. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Let me know what your favorite card of this moment is. Maybe from Edge of Eternities, maybe from another set. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Bye.